Oxidation-reduction reaction. In oxidation reaction, any process involving addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen or loss of electron is known as oxidation reaction. In oxidation reduction reactions, the electrons are transferred from one reactant to another. Oxidation means it loses electrons. Reduction means gain electrons. Here I will show you one example in the reaction between sodium and chlorine. The sodium lost an electron, it has been oxidized, while the chlorine gained an electron, it has been reduced. See the another example. What about the reaction between aluminum and oxygen? Oxygen gained 2 electrons, it has been reduced, while aluminum lost 3 electrons, it has been oxidized.
Redox reactions. Redox stands for reduction and oxidation. In these reactions, one substance is being reduced and the other is being oxidized. First, let's understand the meaning of these terms, oxidation and reduction. In simple terms, oxidation means addition of oxygen and reduction means addition of hydrogen. But there are other ways of defining oxidation and reduction. So let's go ahead and make a table of oxidation versus reduction. We just discussed the first difference. Oxidation is addition of oxygen and reduction is defined as addition of hydrogen. Oxidation can also be defined as removal of hydrogen and reduction is removal of oxygen. Now, oxidation need not be only addition of oxygen. We can expand the definition to addition of any non-metal or electronegative element. Similarly, reduction can be addition of a metal or electropositive element. Now we can define oxidation as removal of a metal or electropositive element, and similarly reduction is removal of a non-metal or electronegative element. Oxidation can also be defined as loss of electrons and reduction is gain of electrons. You can remember the last difference with the help of this simple mnemonic, oil rig. Oil stands for oxidation is loss of electrons and rig stands for reduction is gain of electrons. Let's look at some examples of redox reactions. Let's say we have copper oxide and hydrogen here, and when they react we get copper and water. Now if you look carefully, this is a displacement reaction because hydrogen is displacing copper from the compound copper oxide. Now let's take a look from the redox point of view. So if you look here, copper oxide is losing oxygen and becoming copper. So copper oxide is getting reduced here. And hydrogen is gaining oxygen and becoming water. So hydrogen is getting oxidized in this reaction. And remember, always the reactants get oxidized or reduced, not the products. In this reaction, hydrogen is helping copper oxide to get reduced to copper. So hydrogen is the reducing agent. And copper oxide is helping hydrogen get oxidized to water. So copper oxide is acting as the oxidizing agent. So remember, the substance that gets oxidized is the reducing agent and the substance that gets reduced is the oxidizing agent. Now let's take a look at some more examples of redox reactions. Let's say here we have copper and oxygen, and when they react we get copper oxide. Now who do you think is being oxidized and reduced here? Let's take a look. So if you look at copper, copper is changing to copper oxide. So oxygen is being added to copper. So copper is being oxidized here. Now what about oxygen? Since a metal is being added to it, oxygen is being reduced. So oxygen is our oxidizing agent and copper is the reducing agent in this redox reaction. Let's look at another example. Hydrogen sulfide and chlorine react to give hydrogen chloride and sulfur. Now, who do you think is getting oxidized and reduced in this reaction? Remember, the answer to this question is only the reactants, not the products. So let's take a look at the reactants. So if we see hydrogen sulfide, it's changing to sulfur. Since hydrogen sulfide is losing hydrogen, so that's correct, it's getting oxidized. And if you look at chlorine, hydrogen is being added to it and it's becoming hydrogen chloride. So chlorine is being reduced here. Let's pin redox reaction on our concept board. Remember the key point, reduction and oxidation are both taking place.
Precipitation reaction. The reaction in which one of the products formed is an insoluble substance and is thrown out of the solution as a solid called precipitate is called precipitation reaction. We studied this experiment before. The lime water test for carbon dioxide is a precipitation reaction. Lime water is actually a dilute solution of calcium hydroxide. Lime water means calcium hydroxide. The calcium hydroxide reacts with the carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate, which is insoluble in water. See the reaction. Calcium hydroxide plus carbon dioxide gives calcium carbonate plus water. Calcium carbonate means a milky color. See the slide how the precipitation will come. I hope you understood the lesson. Thank you.